What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer back with another quick Overwatch news update. Along with all of Baptiste's cosmetic items which were put onto the PTR earlier today, there were just a couple more hero balance changes put on as well which I wanted to cover, along with a pretty significant change to Baptiste's Immortality Field when it comes to its visuals. So starting with Baptiste's changes, first, Biotic Launcher can now be stopped from automatically reloading by switching the automatic reload option to off. It's on by default. This is pretty important given that he has two separate ammo types, so I could see the player having an interest in not automatically reloading when you run out of the damage bullets, let's say. If you still have the healing grenades in, you don't want to have to reload and you want to heal. I can easily see why for him in particular, automatically reloading might not be everyone's favorite preference, so it's good that they added this change. Next up though is Immortality Field, which made significant changes to its visual appearance and sounds. Now, as we can see here, this is the old version of Immortality Field. For those of you who have been playing on the PTR, or at the very least have been keeping up with videos of people playing Baptiste, you're gonna recognize that this is what it has been looking like. But if we take a look at the current version, which has been newly updated, we can see that there have indeed been some important changes. They removed the sort of cylinder effect that's on the outside of the ring, and most importantly, they've changed it so that the heroes within the ring itself now have a yellow sort of aura around themselves, which makes it much easier to tell whether or not you're standing within the ring. This can be super important because while you do get the little notification down on your health bar, you're not always going to want to have to glance all the way down at your health if you're in the middle of combat. It's much better to just have that quick feedback of knowing, am I glowing yellow? Then I'm safe, sort of thing. So this is going to make it much more intuitive to use the field, and overall a very quality change if you ask me. Moving on to the other heroes who had some balance changes though, Junkrat frag launcher impact damage changed from 60 to 50, and rip tire cost increased by 10%. Now the damage nerf to Junkrat is actually technically still a buff, because his current impact damage on live servers is 40, and earlier on the PTR that was buffed up to 60. But as I kind of picked up on after playing him for a little bit, 60 is kinda high, and I'm not surprised to see that they've now gone and toned it back just a little bit, so now it's going to be 50 instead of 60, which is still higher than the original 40, meaning that overall Junkrat is going to be getting a buff, but it's just not quite as strong anymore. He's been pretty brutal against barrier tanks on PTRs since he's gotten this initial buff, so I'm glad to see that Blizzard has been prompt about toning it back a little bit, and if even 50 ends up being too much or not the right amount, it seems like they're willing to make pretty quick changes, so I suspect we'll see it balance out pretty evenly soon enough. As for the rip tire cost being increased to 10%, as I talk about in the developer comments here, this really isn't actually a nerf. It's basically just to compensate for the fact that he's now doing more damage, and overall I imagine that it's going to end up charging roughly at the same speed as with his current live version. So yeah, it might charge a little bit faster or a little bit slower, but for the most part this is more of a compensation change and really not a nerf. And the other hero who got notable changes in this most recent update is Zarya with Particle Cannon. Alternative Fire's explosion radius changed to 2 meters regardless of energy level. Now on live servers, the radius of her alternate fire is 2 to 3 meters depending on how high your charge is. There was originally a nerf to that on the PTR which made it from 1 to 2 meters depending on charge, but it looks like now they've decided to just settle it right in the middle of those two by having it stuck at 2 meters regardless of energy level. Again, this is a pretty minor change overall. It still makes her technically worse than she is on live servers, but better than she was with the previous version of the same patch. But overall, a difference of 1 meter isn't a whole lot. It's going to make it a little bit harder to charge your ultimate when at high energy, basically. But other than that, it's really not going to have that much of an impact. For those of you who play a lot of Zarya like I do, you're most likely going to be noticing the change when it first goes through, but overall it's really not going to make any major differences, and you're probably going to get used to it pretty quickly. And that does it for this quick news video. If you didn't see the video I posted earlier today where I show off all of Baptiste's brand new cosmetic items, you can check that out through the cards on screen. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and share with a friend if you really liked it. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit up the bell to never miss any of my future Overwatch content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.